You gotta stop making content for only your ICP. And I know this is super contrarian to what everyone else is selling you online. Oh, make hyper-specific content for your niche and just like don't focus on the views. Just get in front of that right person. And I'm gonna tell you why that's not necessarily the best way to go about it from a strategic lens, okay? And so let's dive into it. Most expert businesses design their entire business like it's direct response marketing. They start with the, like, who is my ideal client, and then they work backwards from there. And so like you have your ICP, and then they make content that they think would attract their client. And so they make like how to, get to 5K per month or 10K per month with that specific, method or platform or whatever they're selling, right? It's like whatever their ICP, whatever the attributes, they sort of have. They do like 3 mistakes creators make when doing XYZ. So what this does is it maximizes viewer qualification, but dramatically restricts the viewer acquisition. And it's interesting because YouTube's own creator guidance literally says, if you're trying to maximize views and watch time, then you have to choose a topic that has a broad audience appeal. That way it's applicable to more people. And then you have to deliver a better experience than competitors in order for that video to grow. And so this gives us a pretty clear understanding that topic breadth, it determines how large the potential audience can be, but value determines what happens after they click. And so I want to get into, sort of an example here, or at least one of the key attributes. And so your ICP is too small to be your entire audience. And so let's look at an example, right? It's like, imagine your ICP is a, consultant, we'll just use mine for example, consultant, creator, or coach. Maybe they have some expertise, they have some traction, they're trying to build a personal brand, but something you have to understand is that there are other people who are psychologically adjacent to this buyer, to these buyers here. And so you can think about like creators trying to monetize, experts considering going independent, consultants who haven't started posting, employees building authority, entrepreneurs trying to increase their persuasion. Like there are so many different, adjacent psychological, it's almost like the psychographics, right? And so what do? You restrict your content to only these people when these people could be future buyers. Like this psychologically adjacent, category, they can become customers later, okay? And that's one of the key distinctions here is that you get more specific, and so you shun away potential future buyers. There's this interesting 95-5 framework that basically suggests that within any given category, there are only a small section of people who are actively looking to buy or make a purchase at any given moment. And then most of them are future buyers. And so what you guys are doing and what a lot of people are doing who are only making ICP specific content, they're only, I gotta stop doing that. They're only going after this 5% because their content only speaks to these people, when it could otherwise speak to these people who are a part of that 95% of future buyers. This isn't a universal law, by the way. This is the Ironberg sort of thing. I forget what it was called, actually. It was the Ironberg base. But you get the point here is that like it's almost like the Pareto principle. And so 80% of the outcomes come from 20% of the inputs. And so another interesting thing is that your content should target interests and problems, not just identities. This is very contrarian to what a lot of people are saying. They're like, only target that identity so that they can align with that content and then ultimately just immediately buy your thing. And again, like from what we understand is that 95% of the people are future buyers. And so what do? You have to expand the psychographic so that they end up giving you money. And when you only go after that specific identity, you narrow the room in a constrictive way that doesn't actually benefit you. And so instead of making content that's like only specific to, consultants who want to grow a personal brand, you have to also attach yourself to the ideas that occur to that person before they think, oh, I need a personal brand. And so how do you do this? You can answer the questions that they have before they recognize it. Okay, and so what you're doing is you're orienting them to that specific identity or the interest in the problems. You're doing it through the interest in the problems to that specific identity. Therefore, when they identify as that in the future, they're going to be more likely to anchor back to you who installed this idea into them. And so you can do this through creating content like why all your content sounds generic. Why do some people seem more authoritative? Is AI making everyone sound the same? And so these ideas have dramatically larger conceptual audiences, but every single one of them can lead naturally into something like this: expertise to idea, differentiation, authority, and then personal brand to monetization. One really important caveat here is that broad does not mean random. And so we can think about it like this, right? We have the, let's just say title of the YouTube video, and then we'll do like how to make 10K per month and structure an offer. Layer underneath is going to be why experts struggle to build a personal brand, which is actually going to be my next video. And then lastly, you have something like I survived, 24 hours in Walmart or something like that. Right? It's like if we think about the audience potential and the buyer relevance, because this one is so specific, it has small audience potential, but extremely high buyer relevance. This one, why experts struggle to build a personal brand, has a high or large audience potential and then high buyer relevance. And then this one, audience has a massive audience appeal, right? It has huge audience potential because it's I survived 24 hours in Walmart. It's like literally something you'd eat to and throw it on the background while you're like, it's like entertainment. It's like throwing on a TV show, but has near zero buyer relevance. And so the mistake is going from here to here, and that's what a lot of people think. They don't think about this middle lane. You could literally say that middle lane is classified as broad, qualified content, or like broad authority content. And so you're effectively broadening the idea while preserving the psychographical detail, which is much more precise than simply saying go broad and try to get like a bunch of people in, or like get a bunch of views and go viral without, trying to make any money, right? It's like that's a lot of the times people don't think about the viral and the hyper specific as a spectrum. They only think about like go viral. People are really obsessed with going viral for some reason and like getting famous. And then they think about the other way. It's like only talk to your ICP and be hyper specific around their problems. And then you're only talking to the person who has that situation right now, and you're not orienting future buyers and getting in that, adjacent psychographic profile into your world, so then they become a future customer. That is the middle ground, in my opinion. That's like the most important thing, is really understanding that this is a spectrum. It's not just one or the other. It's not black or white. We have to think about our niche in psychographics, not demographics. Like your audience doesn't need to necessarily share the same occupation. Like a consultant, creator, coach, expert could all watch the same video, but that video filters for the exact type of, thoughtful, ambitious, expertise-driven person that your ecosystem benefits from attracting. And it's a much larger audience than, something like, how to get 50K a month through your agency by refining your offer and building this specific automation funnel or whatever. But it could be the same underlying lesson, sort of the meta principle lesson, but you have increasingly different audience sizes. One is massive, brings in a future pool of buyers, and then one only attracts like active people looking for solutions. Well, this one does that same thing. And so this is where the personal brand model differs from the pure sort of lead generation model. It's like, imagine we have two different videos that exist. This one's, how to build a 5K coaching offer. We'll say this one got 2K views, 20 perfect prospects, and then 2 of them eventually buy, which is commercially fantastic. Literally 2K views, and then 2 of them ended up paying 5K and you made 10 grand. Then you have video B, it's like why everyone online is starting to sound the same. Let's just say this one got 100K views, but only 1 to 2% are immediate buyers. And thousands of relevant people who are adjacent in psychographics have discovered you. They've found out your worldview. They've figured out what you're an expert in. And they've become potential future customers. And so this first video captures demand, but this one helps build distribution and future demand. And so we can think about this like sort of 3 different content models. We have discovery, authority, and then intent. And so with discovery, you can make ideas relevant to the exact person that you want rather than explicitly the person ready to buy. Again, those are 2 different things. And then 2, you take your authority, you take that broad interest and appeal, and then you bring it towards your intellectual territory. And then lastly, layer 3, this gives you permission to be extremely specific. This is where the like how to build a 5K coaching offer actually makes sense. You want to attract future buyers, like people who will eventually buy in the future, and you can do that with broad appeal content. I'm not saying that going super specific is bad. I'm saying that it has to be a component within your strategy. It's not just only super specific. That is the biggest problem, and that's why you'll never see a brand grow and then to capitalize on every opportunity or more opportunities that they could otherwise have of bringing in new people and new customers. And so you need everything. And that's why we have the discovery, authority, and intent types of content. Okay? It's like it's aimed at different functions, but ultimately it's like you can do this, you can grow your brand and make money. It's like it doesn't have to be one or the other. And a lot of people are boxing you in this ideology of like you have to choose, but you don't have to choose. Like 2 things can be true at once. If I was going to boil this down into one sentence, I would literally say that your offer should be specific enough for your ideal client, but your content should reach a broad enough universe of people who could eventually become, influence, or resemble that client. And so hopefully this was a helpful video. This is really interesting to research and write about. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.